Hello, and don't worry, today is going to be a great day. Okay, so I think I mentioned in my last vlog that I took a 2-month break that ended up being a little longer than I had planned. Originally, the idea was that the break would help me come back to my draft with fresh eyes. Towards the end of the 2 months, I was excited to get back to my story, yet when that time came, I didn't start working. What was once excitement turned into fear. I was afraid that I wasn't going to be a good enough writer to actually improve my writing. After a long and emotional chat with my mom about what I was feeling, I finally got the courage to start rereading my first chapter. To my surprise, I had a lot I could change in my first chapter. I shouldn't have been surprised though, because I knew it was bad as I was writing it. If you've never edited a book before, it can be hard to believe that you can actually edit a book. The worst thing is that I knew it was just a bout of imposter syndrome, and that I could do it if I put my mind to it, yet I was still afraid and let myself procrastinate because of it. Even though it was about a half-month late, I did start my second draft. I sectioned my drafts into specific areas of focus. For example, characterization and character consistency would be a section, while word choice and prose would be a different section. From there, I ordered these groups or sections based on their impact on the book, and decided to start with a focus on overall plot, because that would have the most drastic change to my story, so that my second draft will focus on changing and tweaking the plot. Since the plot isn't specific to a chapter at a time, I decided to do a full read-through of each chapter, making notes on what I can or should change instead of just going ahead and trying to change it. Once I'm finished reading through my story and writing notes, I'm going to go back in and actually start changing things. Since this is my first time editing a novel, I'm going to make an effort to keep each draft as a new document so that I can see my progress as I go. While I've written most of my draft in the past year, the first chapter was actually written years ago. I think it's a blessing in disguise, because I knew what happened, but I didn't remember what exactly I wrote, and I think that helped me while reading through it. The reread of the first chapter was surprisingly easy. I had a ton of notes I could make, and several ideas of things I could do to add more meaning to the events in the first chapter, and more symbolism and foreshadowing into later chapters. I worked through chapters 2 and 3 pretty quickly with similar results. They were significantly better than the first chapter though, with less things that needed to change. However, I ended up being caught up in schoolwork and falling out of habit. That led to about another month break before I ended up returning to my reread. Even though this reread has been focused on plot aspects, I can't help but notice other things I needed to change, mostly wording. At first, I tried to tune it out, but I soon realized I was having a hard time doing so. I ended up essentially giving in and writing all my thoughts down. But when I go back through to change things, I will focus on the plot-related things and then transfer my leftover notes to the next draft until they become applicable. Besides the wording issues I keep noticing, I found mostly issues with consistency, characterization, and chances to add foreshadowing and symbolism into different parts of the book, specifically to make certain events in the earlier part of the book meaningful and vice versa. I managed to read through chapters 4, 5, and 6 this week, which you can watch me edit here. My goal is to read through all of my chapters by the end of the month. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and let you watch the rest of the video. have just finished my read-through of Chapter 5. It went by a lot quicker than Chapter 4 for some reason, which probably means it's a lot more entertaining. But I also think I probably have better pacing in terms of I have dialogue in this one section, and even though they were both about the same amount of words, the same number of pages, the dialogue in the one section was specifically really quick and fast because it was part of a argument. So I do think that added to the whole effect of it feeling a lot faster to go through. I had mentioned that I started Milwordy in my last video. The whole starting in September thing was really bothering me. When January came, I started over. I actually got the full month in as opposed to 10 days into September last time. We are currently in March. I'm not doing very good, but I'm doing better. I do plan on using this first quarter, so January, February, and March, as kind of a way to ease into it because I graduate in May. I'll have the second half of May through the rest of the year where I can just write, and hopefully that will be a little easier to get more words in. I'm doing not as good as I would like to, but I'm on track to be above my February word count, and that's sort of my goal right now, is to try and just up each month. So write more every single month and sort of ease into a really good word count. I recently just added journal words. I have a writer's journal now as part of my creative writing class I'm taking, and they've been giving me a lot of good word counts, but those have been going under school assignments, and I just added all those in today from the past week or so. I'm a few days behind on adding my journal entry words, well, 1 day behind, but it's not going to make that much of a difference. So this is pretty much where I'm at for the month. I'm getting editing words in, which I'm really happy about, but it's mostly my school words and my journal words. I did get a decent amount in YouTube scripts because if I have to talk about multiple things sometimes, I really need an outline or just a full-on written out paragraph. So that's been really good for getting me over 900 words in that alone. YouTube descriptions, it would be more, but I have a template that I use for my words, so I don't manually type in Twitch every time I do a video, or Twitter. So it is a little less than what it could be, since some of those words are just recycled over and over again. But I include words that I use for tags, no short stories, no writing challenges, although that will change shortly, because next week we will have a writing challenge. I have a few other words. I don't remember exactly what they were from. I haven't been writing a lot of notes recently, just because I haven't really thought of anything I wanted to say. More of I forgot to say stuff a lot of times. Most of this, as you can tell, is just school words. So I haven't really had the need to write anything because I haven't really been working on that, so I haven't really had anything to say about school words versus other words. So, thing of note, writing prompts. I've stopped doing writing prompts. I want to do more because I really do think doing some writing prompts consistently can really help me get better at writing, but I just haven't been doing any, so hopefully I can ease back into that as well. Maybe I'll make a goal of having 5 by the end of the month. But right now I'm really focusing on editing. I have 10 more days of the month, and I'd really like to get through this entire draft. However, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, because it at least so far, I've just been doing 1 chapter a day because it takes almost an hour to do, and I feel tired afterwards. So I've been only doing 1 a day. I'm going to try and do 2 today, but I do have some homework that I really need to work on, so Not sure I'll be able to fit it in or not. I would really like to finish this read through by the end of the month. So that is my goal right now. The biggest note is the chapter I edited today. I think I'm going to add in another chapter before that, because I kind of had this big gap of time, which I thought I could get away with, but reading it back now, there's just so much that has to be implied that I think it would be better to actually just write another chapter in between the two chapters to kind of bridge that gap and explain more things and better introduce my characters. That's going to be interesting to do. I'm not 1,000% set on that though, so I'm not going to make the document right now. I'm going to wait till I go back to start really editing, like once I'm done with the actual read through. Then I'm going to go back and decide for sure whether I really need that chapter or whether once I read the rest of the book I don't think I really need it. We'll see with that. That's going to be it, and for now, a smiley farewell. And always remember, nothing is ever only one thing.